Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're going to be listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by the fine folks of Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things in San Diego County, whether it's food insecurity or with financial literacy, the arts, homelessness, they are there. We are thrilled to have in the studio with us today Cate. He's the president and CEO of the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce. And yes, that name is familiar, a long-time community leader here in San Diego. Chris, always good to see you, and thanks for coming in.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Joined by my guest co-host. He's done a great job so far. He's a senior at San Diego State in Leadership Studies, Ian Solomon. He's also started his own business, Apolli Productions, and I think you're enjoying this, are you not?
I am. You're not twisting my arm or anything. I'm glad to be here.
Pretty soon you'll be taking over the show over here. I know he has a question for Chris right out of the gate.
Hey, Chris, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the mission of your organization.
Yes. So the Chamber of Commerce is the largest local chamber on the West Coast. We have over 2,000 members, and we have over 80 industries represented throughout our membership. Those businesses employ over 300,000 San Diegans. And so our job as a chamber is to be their voice, to be their advocates, and essentially be their go-to. So we want our businesses and our members to call us when they have any issues, if they need training, resources, have any questions. We want to be the go-to for them and make sure that we are servicing them as our chamber. We are in our 154th year as an organization. Next year, we'll be celebrating our 155th birthday. So we've been in existence in San Diego for a very long time. We're essentially a staple for the business community in San Diego. Yeah,
and the leadership, which is of interest of Ian, since his leadership studies major, is this so critical to what you folks do with your member businesses. But Chris, as you know, this is a city council person as well. It's just not necessarily the business; it's the tentacles that those business touch. Talk about that.
Absolutely. So in San Diego, we have a $300 billion economic engine here in San Diego. And it's not also just in the San Diego region. We have members south of the border in Tijuana, in Northern Baja. So we call it our mega region in San Diego. There's such continuity between both sides of the border when it comes to our businesses. And for us, we want to communicate to the public that for local governments, whether cities, the state, or the feds, is that the ability to provide those services and those resources to taxpayers comes from the economic engine of businesses. And so we need to be making sure that our policymakers understand the connection between them, and that business owners can't just be seen as some type of piggy bank to satisfy whatever needs government has, but we need to be partners. If there's not a thriving economic region in San Diego, we don't have the ability to pay for our public safety, police officers, firefighters, parks, libraries, and the like. And we need to be seen as partners in that. And I think that's the role and the job of the chamber, is to do that.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about this as we get into the interview on this, because you do so much more. And, maybe the monikers, it's just more than business or something like that, and I know you feel that way. But to our listeners, I think in almost every major metro is this way. The bread and butter on all of this, and this is nothing against our big businesses. We love our big businesses. It's the small businesses that drive the engine. Talk about that.
Absolutely. So in San Diego, 98% of our businesses are small businesses. And that diversity is also reflective in our membership. Over 70% of our members are small businesses. And so while there are larger companies in San Diego that are in the healthcare field or tech field or life science field that help drive our organization and provide those dollars for organizations, again, we have over 2,000 members. And so we have to be in the business of supporting our small to mid-sized business as well too. And so one of my big focuses is going to be on what resources can we provide to them. We talk about what can we do to help that small business hire that one additional employee? How do we make it easier for them to deal with government, or if they're doing tenant improvements or getting permitting, what have you? That's our role as an organization, as a chamber. And part of that too is the focus that we're going to have as well is how do we partner with our smaller local chambers across the region? We're the regional chamber across San Diego County and Mexico, northern Mexico as well too, northern Baja. But we have smaller local chambers as well too that they might not be able to afford becoming a member of the chamber, regional chamber of commerce, but we can serve as a support role for them. And we have to figure out how we do that and how that interaction plays.
You were reading my mind, which is a dangerous thing, Chris. I'll just tell you that right now, for God's sake. You might have just dropped a few IQ points. I'll tell you that. I was honored to be on a variety of local chamber boards. I-15 Diamond Gateway Chamber, which merged with Rancho Bernardo, and now is a North San Diego business with our good friend Chris Thorne, who you know well. And whether it's the Vista Chamber or it's the Oceanside, you name it, there's these great local community chambers, and heaven forbid we all row in the same direction. What a shock that would be, right, in this area, and that's so important on that. But I know one of the things that people look to what you folks do, and because of your experience, certainly as city council person, and just knowing the footprint here, you collaborate with other groups as well, not just those chambers, but our good friend Mark Cafferty was just on the show here. Talk about how you work with the EDC.
Yeah, we work with EDC very well, and their job, I see it is they find companies to invest in San Diego. And I think our role is to keep them here in San Diego. They produce a lot of reports and studies and data that we utilize when we're talking to policymakers. I think the differential point between us and the EDC is the advocacy work that we do. We share a lot of resources. We support one another on our delegation trips, whether they're going to Europe or Asia to look for investment in San Diego. We take part in those. When we do our delegation trips to Sacramento or Washington, D.C. or Mexico City, they partake in that as well too. So there is a great collaboration partnership between us. And we also partner with a number of other trade associations or business associations that we have throughout the region, whether it's Associated General Contractors or the Restaurant Association or Building Owners and Managers Association or Property Owners Apartment Association, Realtors, others. I see the chamber as the umbrella organization that brings everyone together and makes sure, as you mentioned, we're all rowing in the same direction, because while we're broad in nature as a chamber, each of those organizations have their niche, their specialty that they have an interest in, but that rolls up into the greater economic engine in San Diego, and we have to be, I think, the conveners of them and make sure we're all talking to each other. We know what everyone's working on, what our duties are, especially with the local chambers as well too, is that there just needs to be a path of communication between everybody. We are not trying to tell anybody what to do, but hey, if something's coming up in Oceanside or in Carlsbad that we should know about as a regional chamber, or where we can support them in that, those open lines of communication need to be are incredibly important to pursuing and increasing the economic engine in San Diego.
There's no question about it. We're chatting with Chris Cate, he's the president and CEO of the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce. I'm Drew Schlosberg, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, joined by my guest co-host, Ian Solomon. He is a senior at San Diego State, majoring in leadership studies. Let me bring it to this aspect, Chris, and I know you believe in this tenfold. Our universities are pretty cool in San Diego. Talk about the relationship that the chamber has with like universities like Ian's SDSU.
Well, I'm a Torero, so
it's okay.
We're in the San Diego State. Sure, that's all right. Exactly. But we do have a great relationship with all of our universities, and they have a place within the chamber as well too, and we partner very much with them. So, taking San Diego State as an example, we do a lot with them, especially with the Mission Valley West campus and supporting their work, having that incubator on campus there, Snapdragon, all the great work they're doing on that campus. We are there to support them tenfold and making sure we know about that. USD, another great example as well too. Their Canals School of Business, they're on our board as well too. They are great supporters of the chamber and our nonprofit affiliate, Lead San Diego, which is a leadership development organization. They support them. And then UC San Diego as well, too. We're fortunate to have the chancellor on our board as well. So they are the suppliers of the workforce for our employers, our businesses in San Diego. And we cannot have a thriving business region unless we have the employers and the employees that are feeding up into those positions.
Right. Just want to be clear that I was a charter member of the USD School of Leadership and Sciences Advisory Board when Paula Cordero ran it. And you know Paula, of course, now working a lot with Junk Rock, Peace and Justice and all that. But all of our universities are great in this area. And, you know, Ian, I'll ask you this as a leadership studies, major. Do you folks reach out to groups like the Chamber of Commerce?
I don't even think that it's as well known that that's something that we have access to. Because I think, at least me personally, when I think of like the regional chamber of commerce, I'm like, as a student, I'm like, well, how could I even get in contact with them? Or why would I want to even get in contact with them? Like, so I mean, if that's something,
we would love to have you. I think the great thing that we take pride in is that we're the conveners, right? Whether you're start a business, you want to be introduced and expand your network of potential clients or other partners. We do a lot of those type of networking events as well too, to try to support, either B2B work or again, client developments. We also just signed an MOU with the Small Business Development Center as well too, which is a free resource to business owners for anything you need, whether it's trainings, resources, understanding different aspects of your business. So we want to be able to provide those free or publicize those free trainings and resources to our members as well too. So for us, again, I go back to that. We want to be the go-to for businesses or students or people who want to become business owners or get into the market. And so we're more than happy to have students particularly come to our networking events and just kind of see what we do. We just had we call our Business After 4 mixer yesterday. And we had students from Reality Changers, graduates from Reality Changers, be there and present, work on their networking skills, business development skills as well too. So we want to be supportive of that, and whatever partnership we can do with any of your universities, the alumni centers there or the employment centers there, we're all about that.
When we come back from break, Chris, let's chat about those three foundational pillars that you define as advocacy for the business community as well. I want to talk a little about Lead San Diego. That's near and dear to my heart. When I was running community and public relations for the UT, we were big sponsors of that for many, many different years and so forth. And equally important, what can our listeners do to continue to support the great work of the Chamber? When we return with Chris Cate, he is President and CEO of the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media. Listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed. Credited and honor to have in the studio with us today Cate, President and CEO of the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce. Chris is a longtime community leader, certainly just well equipped to be in this position and really reaching out to so many different touch points that the Chamber has. I probably can do a 45-hour interview, and I only chat 1% about what we're going to do. But right before break, we were just talking about something that's important to you, is that these are foundational pillars that have really contribute to effective advocacy. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think the business of the Chamber, and I think our primary role, or one of our primary roles, is to be effective advocates for the business community. And it's about convening folks, getting stakeholders on board. It's about telling a story and then using data to tell those stories as well too. And the reason why I think it's critical now more than ever from an advocacy perspective for the business community is that it's become almost fashionable to demonize businesses and use them as some type of punching bag or the enemy. And that's not the case, especially for San Diego. We talked about earlier about the makeup of small business owners. For San Diego, 98% of businesses being small businesses in San Diego. And what I want to emphasize, I try to emphasize, is that these business owners, they're not in some far-off mansion in Texas or New York or whatnot. I mean, these are individuals who are invested deeply into the community. They teach, they volunteer on our nonprofit boards and commissions. They are coaches in Little League. They go to your church. They're invested in the community, and that they shouldn't be seen as that way. In fact, they should be celebrated,
humanized.
Exactly. I mean, these are folks who risk everything every day and put their employees typically above themselves before them. When they're on tough times and having to make payroll and whatnot. So, I think from our standpoint, we have to tell those stories in that way, and then use that data about the makeup of these business owners and to be effective advocates. But we also need to enroll more. It can't just be myself or my team saying that. As how do we use the voices of these business owners to be there in city halls and public forums, talking about the impacts of policies on them, and show that emotional toll and emotional makeup of these stories to our policymakers. And so that's going to be our role as a chamber moving forward. To figure how best to communicate that, because at the end of the day, as I mentioned earlier, government cannot operate without successful businesses.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Ian, got another question for Chris.
I was wondering, because our message is as a business community must be two things: simple and data-driven. I was wondering if you can kind of touch upon that and elaborate.
Yeah, exactly. And so we talk a lot about regulatory minutia. About how to go through a development services department to get a permit or whatnot, and we get really complicated in saying that we need to make permitting faster or whatnot. But if we narrow it down and tailor it to a very simple message, that is way more effective. What we talk about a lot from a housing standpoint is that there are 140,000 people who drive into San Diego County every single day for their jobs. 140,000. That's huge. It's ever growing. So if that doesn't show that, for example, in San Diego, we need more housing, we use that data point to showcase that we need more housing in San Diego. Because if you want a thriving economic engine in San Diego, when we're attracting business owners or investors, and we're working with the EDC on that, the first question out of a major corporation's mouth is going to be, where are my employees going to live? And I don't want to tell them, if your employees can live in Hemet and drive 2 hours one way to San Diego for their job, that's not an attractive place. So using that type of data point, incorporate that into a storytelling message, I think resonates with policymakers and the public at large as well.
Yeah, what's interesting about that, as you talk about this, there's never, people think, well, there's a magic wand that will have this solution. And
I would like to find that.
Likewise. And then when you find it, please pass it on to me and to Haley and all that business, because we can use it as well. But what it comes down to, this being a city council person, and of course now in this position, It's about relationships. It's about communication. That sounds so obvious, but it's amazing how many people don't do that. San Diego, as you know, is the smallest big city in the history of humankind. There hasn't. I've been fortunate enough to be involved in it, and of course, and there's an advantage to that in many ways, as you know, Chris. And you work with. I'm going to get my friends are going to go. How come you didn't mention my name on this? But when you work with the Jerry Sanders and the Phil Blairs and all those folks that are just doing great things in the community and they really want to work with you, you can pick up the phone and call them, and you know that from your role. That makes a difference. This is why I'm so geeked up about, and we used to be heavily involved with Lead San Diego, and of course that the time was a standalone, now moved over into the chamber a while ago when Jerry was running it. Just talk about how the importance of Lead San Diego is to the chamber.
Yeah, to your first point about the relationships, and I'm fortunate enough to have served in office for 8 years, and have great relationships with our elected officials all across the board. Right, from a partisan perspective, I've been fortunate enough to work with everybody. I think for the mere fact that how you characterize the biggest small city in the world is because people, what you get with me.
That's
and
right.
I'm not shy about it. And for us as a chamber, we're not going to be shy about who we are as well. We're going to be unapologetically pro-business. Period in a story. If
should be.
Yeah, right. You would think, right? But we're not also going to call out our supposed friends or whatnot when they're not doing things that we think are pro-business.
Right.
And that's, sometimes upsetting with folks because, hey, I thought we were friends or whatever. Like, no, like we're pro-business. Like if you do something that's not pro-business, we're going to tell you that it is. And then, but if you do something, we're going to celebrate you as well too. So I think just being open and honest and upfront about that, what
always
you get.
Works.
Exactly. It makes life a lot easier.
Absolutely.
But your point about Lead San Diego, I think one of the things that is often lacking in San Diego as well too is that leadership development course, right? We have so many opportunities that exist, but sometimes folks may not feel confident enough in their abilities or their skill sets to step into those leadership positions. And so this is where we offer our 3 different courses to San Diegans to learn about the region, learn about who San Diego is, what drives us. And we're fortunate to have a great set of programs offered to folks. We have a great executive director in Veronica Parandi who does an amazing job with her team as well in showcasing everything about San Diego. And what I'm excited about is that there's such a synergy between the chamber and Lead San Diego, right? We want to develop that next crop of leaders in San Diego, business leaders as well too, but you can't do that without them knowing about San Diego. And so whether you're a C-suite executive or a commanding officer just got stationed in San Diego, we have a program for you. We have a 3-day crash course program to learn about San Diego. We have a longer 11-month program that learns really in depth about San Diego as well too. And then we have a program to advance women in the workplace as well, and their businesses, empower them to be leaders in there as well. So a lot of exciting things on the horizon for Lead San Diego, including partnerships with National University and having some continuing education credits for folks who go through our programs as well. So we have a great set of supporters, and the alumni network is just the who's who in San Diego. And so how do we tap into them as well?
Right, exactly. So here's a question for you, because my job is to always make work for other people and not me. Okay, on this.
That's my job too.
Yeah, right, exactly. So Ian is a senior in leadership studies. Is obviously very entrepreneurial with the start of his own business, Poly Productions. But if Ian wants to be part of Lead San Diego, is there a student component of it?
There's not a student component to it, but I'm trying to think about how we can incorporate that into it. I mean,
even if it's like a way of transitioning from freshly graduating.
I'm making more work for Chris.
I mean, I think
Haley's laughing, by the way. So
I think there's definitely an opportunity for students to go through the program. And what we typically do is we find employers who sponsor their employees to pay for the fees
That's
to go
right.
through the program. So, if it's a university or kind of your school of business or whatnot who wants to sponsor you to go through the program, I think it's a great opportunity for, especially from a business student standpoint, to learn about the economic drivers within San Diego. So I think there's something there that we can potentially work on. We have to probably do some lobbying to SDSU to, get them to support students for that. But I think there's a role to play for that, especially those who are graduating, because the great aspect of this is not only what you're learning through the programs, but the network that you're developing as well.
Well, yeah, I think what we'll do, sorry to cut you off, Ian, on this, but because he's a leadership studies major, which is perfect for him to be involved in Lead San Diego. We just had Adela and on the show here, and Greg Smith, and joined by Mark from the EDC, talking about what they're doing in their 1.6 thousand million square acre innovation deal in Mission Valley. Maybe we can talk to Adela on this, the president of SDSU, and say, can you maybe take a look in your leadership studies division and maybe 1 year choose a student that you pay for it, so it doesn't fall on the backs of the chamber, and maybe have a student come
in. Yeah. I think it's a partnership that exists there, for sure.
Yeah, so maybe we'll double team that, Chris.
There you go.
What I'd love to do is, there's so much content you have, and if it's okay with you and Haley, what I'd love to do, and we do this quite a bit, we'd love to have you guys on at least once a quarter, minimum once a quarter. You could probably be on every single day and still not come close to it. But if you were willing to come in once a quarter, and you can bring whoever you in, talk about whatever aspect is that be strategic or whatever the case may be on it, would love to make that happen if you're interested.
Absolutely. We'd love that.
Very good. So final comment, what can our listeners do to continue to support what you're doing?
Well, I think just support business, and support the issues that impact business owners, right? The commerce that exists every day and who you shop with and whatnot are all great. But and I think it's just to understand that and have compassion for these business owners and what they go through. It's a lot. And the stories that you can hear all the time about the challenges that they go through and whatnot. And sometimes they internalize that for whatever reason. But I think just understanding that, businesses aren't just these out-of-town big billion-dollar corporations, right? They're your neighbor. And we have to be able to support that and have compassion for that and empathy for that and what they're going through and support them and what they want to provide to San Diego every day.
Yeah, that's great feedback. So, Ian, this is the last of your co-hosting on this show. I know you're going to be coming back on. Do you have any final comments for Chris or the Chamber?
I'm truly fascinated by what it is you guys do and just how honorable of the work it is, being just the middleman for helping those smaller businesses and large businesses as well. I think it's really incredible. And hopefully I look forward to speaking with you in the future. We'll see where my business goes.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, so much. I really enjoyed that, Ian. A great job as a co-host. Chris, it's good seeing you again. And I look forward to working with you and Haley on teeing up the next topics. I'm booked 3 months out. I wouldn't listen to me, for God's sake. But listen, there's so much great content that you folks have. And if it's going to be able to accelerate all the great stuff you do, we're all for it. Chris, Cate, thank you so much, President and CEO of the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Spotlight in the Community Show. We are in our 20th year, longest running community podcast in the nation, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. And to our listeners, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.